What are the key competencies needed to succeed in any transformation? What is continuous learning? And what are the key dimensions of continuous learning? These will be the focus of today's video. So if you want to understand more on continuous learning, if you want to understand what are these competencies all about, this is a good video to start with. One, if you are new to Scale Agile and you want to understand more about Scale Agile, how to implement Scale Agile, this series will help you. If you are among those who attended the workshop on Scale Agile and are preparing for your exams and want to get more clarity on your exams, you want to understand more about your exams, these topics will help you. Hello friends, welcome to Agile Express, your one-stop shop to agility, and I am Anis, your host, Agile trainer and coach. In the earlier video, we talked about business agility. We talked about 7 competencies of SAFe. If you have not gone through the earlier video, I'll recommend you to just go through that. I'll put the link in the description below. If you want to be part of this exciting journey, stay tuned and do not forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified as soon as I release my videos. So without further ado, let's talk about the first competencies in SAFe 5.0. This is called as continuous learning culture. Seriously? Continuous learning? We know about it. Why we need a competency on this? Why we have to be so explicit about this? Because learning is there in every organization. We all train ourselves. We all learn new things. You are part of this video. You're going through this video because you want to learn something new. Probably this was the same assumption with Scale Agile, and hence in the previous version, though it was mentioned that continuous learning is important, the reason why this was made so explicit now in this version is because of certain feedback that Scale Agile have got, and even I have experience in my implementation of Scale Agile, is that when we implement or we are in the transformation stage, we do learning and training, but this competencies is grossly overlooked or undermined, especially in the post implementation stage. Once we have transformed and we started working in ART or in Agile, learning takes pretty much a back seat. We do certain learning training here and there, but that's it. We don't do further investment on learning. Let's go through what Scale Agile want to say about continuous learning competencies, and then I'll elaborate it further. As per SAFe, the continuous learning culture describes a set of values and practices that encourage individuals and the enterprise as a whole to continually increase knowledge, competency, performance, and innovation. This culture is achieved by becoming a learning organization, committing to relentless improvement, and promoting a culture of innovation. So, here we are not talking about learning as a stage. We are not talking about learning as a prerequisite to transformation, but we are talking about learning as a culture in an organization. Learning culture has a lot of positive outcomes. A, it increases our knowledge, and B, it improves our skills and competencies, which in turn improves performance. And last but very important is that it also enables us to innovate. Innovation culture flourish only in the fertile ground of experimentation and learning from our failure. If we have tolerance to failure, if we allow people to experiment, if we allow an environment, a controlled environment where we can try out new stuff, we can experiment, we can prototype, this will bring innovation on board. And another important thing is, innovation is not restricted to certain individuals or department. Innovation is part of every individual genes, and this is the whole purpose of bringing this competency and culture across the board. This competency is not just limited to training. Yes, no doubt training is important and mandatory. Even SAFe says that train before you launch the train. So before you launch an ART or an agile release train, you need to train each and every individual in different roles which they will be performing. But training is just a trigger or the beginning. Learning has to be continuous process. Even in agile, vanilla agile, if you look around, there are a lot of ceremonies, And if you analyze any of these ceremonies, feedback and learning are the key objectives. For example, let's take the daily stand up. Why we do daily stand up? It helps us to understand what are the key blockers in the team. Are team aligned to the iteration goals, or are they set up for success? These are the kind of objectives for which we have daily stand up. Take another example, iteration review or demos. It gives opportunity to get feedback from business and learn and improve the next iteration. The last but very important one, retrospective. This is one of the ceremonies which requires a lot of improvements in most of the implementation or organization, because it is a forum where we can express the kind of bottlenecks we have, the kind of changes we want to do, what things are going well, what needs to improve, and this helps us to identify areas of improvement and bring up a forum where we can discuss about a problem and try to solve it for all of us. So if you have noticed that all these ceremonies, and there are many more, helps us to improve. In SAFe 5.0, there are altogether 7 competencies, and each of these competencies have 3 dimensions each. And this is very important for people who are trying to certify themselves or planning to certify themselves, because these dimensions has to be understood not only from the implementation perspective, but they are the focal point of assessing the maturity of the agile transformation in an organization. So the continuous learning culture competency has the following 3 dimensions. The first dimension is called learning organization. This is to ensure employees at every level are learning and growing so that the organization can transform and adapt to ever-changing world. It should also drive personal mastery, basically skills and competencies level of individual, and to some extent team builds in forum for team learning, mental models and systems thinking. The second dimension is relentless improvement. Every part of the enterprises focuses on continuously improving its solution, products and processes. It focuses on having a problem solving culture, thinking as a whole instead of optimizing a component. For example, inspect and adapt as a ceremony which happens every program increment is a good opportunity to demonstrate our features which we have completed and are ready to go live in this PI, and to retrospect. For example, in inspect and adapt, we will go through what are the areas of improvement across the art, what things are going good, what we can learn from others, what are the key problems we want to solve, and we can apply design thinking pattern to solve the problem. Regarding design thinking, I'll place another video in the future because it's a very important topic on how to function as a team together, how to prototype, how to identify a problem and solve a problem. So I'll try to push a video for that. The third dimension is called innovation culture. Employees are encouraged and empowered to explore and implement creative ideas that enable future value delivery. We need to create an atmosphere or an environment where every individual contributes and take ownership of innovation. We should provide time and space to pull people out of daily routine to innovate. One of the key restriction or constraint of innovation is people don't have time. They're too busy with their day-to-day job. They're too busy to deliver software and solutions. So SAFe has strongly recommended to have a dedicated sprint or an iteration, which is famously known as IP, Innovation and Planning Iteration. And this is mandated to be part of every PI. So in every PI, we should have a sprint where people can work together on ideas that they have compiled over their journey and pick up the top ideas or problems and try to resolve it. Here I will strongly recommend a book called Lean Startup by Eric Ries. It explains about what is a lean startup cycle, how an organization works in a lean startup mode. And in any lean startup thinking or behavior or culture, getting good feedback, getting timely feedback and getting a continuous feedback is very, very crucial. And after the feedback, the ability to persevere or pivot without any guilt or mercy is the key cultural shift, because there's no point in persevering an idea or a solution approach which we know is not working, or it's not aligned to our objectives, or it's not as feasible as we thought about. How quickly you pivot yourself decides the success of your initiative in hand. So basically, these are the three dimensions that completely cover the competencies aspect of continuous learning and helps us to mature in that competency. SAFe has devised these 7 competencies and 21 dimensions, basically three dimensions in every competencies, into a framework of how to assess the business agility across the competencies. Before I conclude, I would like to remind my viewers that these videos are no way a replacement for the certification workshop conducted by Scale Agile. I'll put link in the description below for all the upcoming workshops for SAFe. But I'm sure this video will help you to get deeper understanding on various topics. Also, it will be a good reference point before you go through your examinations, or if you want to learn about SAFe overall. So let's summarize on what we have learned so far. We have gone through the competencies called continuous learning culture. We have gone through its 3 dimensions, which are basically learning organization, relentless improvement, and innovation. So if you have found this video useful, please hit the thumbs up icon below and do not forget to subscribe. See you soon in the next video. Till then, keep learning and enjoy.